Hi folks and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at some of the searches, the more common searches for year-end reports. Again, my name is Kelly Ann. I'm the presenter for today. Rachel is also in the room listening, and if you have questions as I move along through the material, she can answer those. You can type those in the question panel. You might want to hold off to the end though and see, I might answer your question as I work through the material. And just, for everyone today who's here to learn about year-end report criterias, try to keep your questions topical. If your question's more in depth into your data or pertaining to another module, might be best handled on a support call or email. At the end though, I will open the floor and I'll ask if anyone has questions and I'll read those out loud and answer those for everyone. If it's your first time using GoToWebinar, you have a GoToWebinar toolbar, and if you click the little orange arrow on the side of it, that will minimize it down so it's not blocking what I'm showing you. But then to open it back up, you just click that little arrow, and you can click on the top of the toolbar and drag it to wherever you want it on your screen. Excuse me. And then just open the question panel if you need to type a question in for Rachel or myself to answer for you. Now, one more thing before we get started. The material today, there's nothing specific in any of the workbooks for this exact material because every church, what they need at end of year is different from one denomination to the other. So we don't specifically have anything in the books that tells you, here's what you need for end of year because of that reason. Every church needs different things. But what you can look at is in our training workbook M204, right here, M204, the most current book, the material or the area we're looking at, reports, the first 10 pages of that book explains how that reporting area works and all the different functions and features of that area. So you can refer to that to understand reporting. What I'm going to show you, though, is specific criteria that you might enter at the end of the year. And again, some of the more common calls we get about finding the end of the year numbers. So let me close this and then, oops, make sure, yes, I can see my audio is working. I don't have myself muted in two spots like I sometimes forget and don't unmute myself. So let's go ahead and open up membership. To get to reports, we can click reports right in the middle of the screen, and that opens up momentarily the reports step 1. Now, if you're not on version 22, this might look a little different. With 22, there was a shift of the giving and pledging, which used to be a tab along the top. That's shifted to be a selection number 3. And that allows churches who want to add more than one giving pledging criteria to do just that. So this screen may look a little foreign if you're not on 22 yet. What you're probably used to seeing is what we see if we click Edit People Selection Criteria. So again, if you're on a version prior to 22, really isn't that much different when you go into reports. What you're used to seeing on the opening screen, you now bring up by clicking Edit People Selection. All right, so let's go back to the topic here. One thing I want to show you, though, there are some canned reports you can do, and I at least once a week I get a report or a call, someone saying their birthday or anniversary report isn't working. Notice at the top we see birthday and anniversary. If we click reports right here in the middle, we have opened our reporting. We can't then go up to birthday and ask for it to do birthday reports. If you want a birthday report, you'd want to click Reports Export along the top. Notice if I click on People, it changes my buttons. If I click Reports Export, then Birthday and choose Reports Directory Export, pops up with birth date in December, and I can continue on with my birth date list. Same for anniversary, group skills. Now if we go up at the top to Reports Export and this Reports and Labels, and then choose Reports Directory Export, that is the same. It's just a generic report screen, the same as clicking on Reports here, the shortcut. But someone said, are we still supposed to be muted? Yes, you are, because I don't unmute everyone, or else you wouldn't be able to hear me with all the background noise going on in the different locations. So I do keep everyone muted, yes. But you can type questions right where you found that question panel. So going back to reports here in the middle, If we click that, that's the same as reports and labels in the upper left. It's just a quicker way to get there. Now let's go ahead and talk about, I'm not going to go over everything on the screen here. I want us to have some time to look at a few of the more specific end of year queries. One that we get a lot is people who've joined this year. So to find that, we can click on the Edit People Selection Criteria, and most churches record that by membership date. So we can put in membership, and I can start typing in the upper left where it says select a membership field. I'm going to start typing there, membership date, and it will narrow down to what I'm typing. Now I could also click the arrow here and scroll down my list and find membership date. I find it easier to start typing and have it narrow down to what I'm looking instead of looking through the list. So we choose membership date, and then we can ask for between, and then we have two boxes here we can choose a date range. So if we want everyone for 2019, then I would put January 1st of 2019 through 12/31 of 2019, and then plus selection to add that criteria. Now over to the right, we can see some information having to do with giver numbers. All we want to know is people with a membership date in 2019, so we're not going to change anything in that giver number area. If you only want a certain category, however, which we only want our members, we can uncheck visitors. If you want to also see people who you may have marked inactive over the year, if you want to see those people as well, you could check inactive. Remember, we're only asking for people with a membership date in 2019, so that's not going to bring in, every person you marked inactive over the course of the years. But perhaps, for your count, you need those inactive people as well because they did have a membership date in 19, even if they did leave. Groups, that would be like the groups you set up in church windows, first grade, second grade, finance committee, things like that. Probably don't need that checked. Or donation, individual, or group givers, we don't need checked because those records solely exist in donations and you can't record a membership date over in donations. So then we'll go ahead and click OK. And we're not concerned with donations, so we're not going to choose any accounts here. But we do want to sort by membership date, and I was practicing earlier and it's still set to that sort. So if your sort is set to something different, then just click the down arrow and choose whatever you want to sort by. Usually it's membership date for this report, although oftentimes churches just need a count. They don't even need to print this out. If you choose something having to do with a date, then notice lower left, we can choose to have it sort first by the year or by the month. We want to see it by the month. So I'll go ahead and click next. And that will take me to step 2 momentarily. Here we go. And here we can see the amount of people. You may have more. This is just test data, so I had to go through this morning and add a few membership dates of 2019. If we want to print this out, though, maybe we want a printout of their name and their membership date. So I know if I look under my layouts, I only have my template. I'm going to click on New and create a new one. Now, rather than call this how many joined in 2019 or something like this, I could use this over and over again each year because right now I'm just telling the program for who I search for in step 1, go get these fields off their records. So I'm going to call this name and mem date. And then click OK. And now it should momentarily bring up my column selector. Now I don't need a address block. On the right, notice we see visible columns, so that's what would be on the report. I don't need a address block, so I'm going to click on it and click this little left-facing arrow to move it to the left. Same thing with primary phone. I'll move that to the left. On the left side, we have a list of all the fields we could add. Rather than search through all those, I'm just going to start typing. And as I start typing membership date, there I see it in the list. So I'll click on it, highlights it on the left, and now I can use my right arrow to move it over to the right. So now our report is name and membership date. So I'll just click OK. And now lower right, I'm going to click print to bring up a preview. And here we have a nice report. Let me make it a little bigger. Whoops. Scroll up. Here we can see we have 5 people with a membership date in 2019. We see their name, their membership date, and below we have a count. So if you just need a count, you can get it right off this report, which then below it also shows you the criteria. If I close this though, oops, wait a minute. We can also, right at the top here, if you had a big long report and you just don't want to scroll to the end, you can click the I at the top of our preview, and that gives us report information as well with the same thing we see at the end of our report, the summary. So you could even here copy that text if you needed to and copy it over to something else. All right, so that's one of the most common end of the year questions we get. Another is how many gains and losses, how many people joined the church, that was joined, how many people left the church. So again, we'll go to reports and click on edit people selection criteria. Usually when someone leaves the church, we mark them inactive. So that's the field we would want to query on. So we'll upper left here look for inactive. So we can say inactive individual or family. We probably want to look at individual. Sometimes churches want to see a specific reason. So I'll show you both. Let's just look for people who are marked inactive. So we'll say inactive, yes, and then plus selection. But remember, we just want people who became inactive in 2019. So we'll say and then we'll go back up to select a membership field and choose inactive date. And then we'll put between, and again, we'll do the year of 2019. So 1/1/2019 to 12/31. And then we'll click plus selection. Again, over to the right, we don't want to see any inactive visitors from 2019. We just want to see members. So we'll uncheck visitors and then click OK. Again, we're not concerned with giving or pledging or donations, so we're not going to do anything on accounts or the giving pledging criteria. We do want to, though, sort by inactive date rather than membership date. So I can clear that out. Whoops. And choose inactive date. And I'm going to click next. Now I forgot, back on the prior screen, I forgot to put a little check in inactive. If you're searching for someone who is inactive, then you need to make sure you check inactive. However, the program's gotten a little smarter over the years, and now if it sees you doing a query that has to do with inactive, and you hit next without checking inactive, it asks you, do you want to include inactive? So I'll go ahead and say, okay. Yes, Brooke, I see your question, but I did that for a reason. I wanted you to see that the program will go ahead and check inactive for you if you forget to check it. Excuse me. So we only have 2 people marked inactive in 2019, but we don't want to see their name and membership date. We want to see their name and their inactive date and maybe even their reason. So I'm going to click New. And then here I'll type in inactive. I'm just going to, whoops, my fingers were not on those keys they're supposed to be on to start typing. I think they were over a little. Inactive report. Again, because I didn't name it 2019 or anything like that, I can always use this. I mean, I could still use it again and again. But when you call something by year, that makes you think, oh, I have to make a new one. This is just a layout of the fields. So if I name it something telling me what the fields are, then I can do any search. And if these are the fields I want, I can choose that report. So I'm going to add an active date. I see reason right there, so I'll go ahead and add that as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then we'll click Print. I thought I marked more people. Oh, I think some of my people were visitors. So the next one I'll go through and do this, and I'll show you. I'll include visitors just because I marked some visitors, I think, this morning. So here we see Bernard Evan and Bernadette Hamilton both died on 12/18 of death. And we have a count of 2. Let's go ahead and look, though. Perhaps you want a specific reason. Now, I just happened to get 2 people who I'd given a reason of death. But remember, I just asked for individual or inactive individuals, yes. So let's go ahead and check visitors and take a look at that one more time. And then we'll see the people. Yeah, so I had 2 visitors I marked as well. Hopefully your list isn't really long. I just went through and marked a few people this morning. So here we have 3 from death and 1 who left the area. Now, perhaps all you want to see is inactive reason of death. So let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to clear all here, and let's do, we just want to see people who died in the past year. So I can say inactive. I'll choose inactive reason. And when I do that, it brings up the window showing all the different selections or codes and descriptions I created. I can choose the one I need and then click plus add to selection. But remember, we want people who passed away in 2019, so we'll choose inactive date is between. Now you can type in these boxes. I prefer to jump around on the calendar and click right on the date. Probably maybe a few more clicks, but my fingers, I don't know, somehow when I type it, it doesn't always work right in there. It skips to another spot. All right, so here we're looking for inactive reason of death, and their inactive date is in 2019. I won't leave visitors checked just because I only have a few I marked inactive. So if we click OK and then click Next, again, I did not mean to forget that time. I forgot though, and thank goodness the program realizes that I was asking about inactive, and it's going to go ahead and ask me, do you want to check that? So I'll say OK. Or it didn't ask, it just tells me. Wait a minute. Oh, that's right. I just asked for death. I'm like, wait, I had 5 people last time. I need to drink more coffee today. I think I'm already gone for Christmas. So here we see 3 people. Easy way to see they're terminated is notice they're all in red instead of in black. We want that same inactive report where we can see the reason and the date and the name. So I'll go ahead and click Print. And here we see the 3 people who have passed away in 2019. All right. Now those are the most 2 common things people call and need help with for end of year. That is what I wanted to show you for the day.